Alright, it's part 25, and we are in the Mirage Tower ready to take on the Flying Fortress. This dungeon's kind of neat. It's kind of like two dungeons in one, because the Mirage Tower is kind of a dungeon and the Flying Fortress is obviously a dungeon. And they each have their own separate types of encounters and their own battle screens, but really, it's almost like one 8-floor dungeon. And I know what you're thinking, 8 floors? That must have been really hard to memorize. You know, 8 floors, that's a lot of floors to get by. And, well, that's the neat thing about this dungeon. Everything's pretty straightforward and easy to memorize. Like, it's not very complicated. The Mirage Tower in particular is pretty small areas. You know, there's no mazes. So, no, it's actually really easy to memorize. In fact, this is probably my favorite dungeon in the game. I just think it's a really nice looking dungeon. It has a lot of fun stuff about it. The first part of this is going to be kind of, well, we're just going to kind of be blitzing through a tower. There's not a whole lot going on for the first 3 floors, unfortunately. Well, the first 2 floors. The 3rd floor of the Mirage Tower's just kind of a room. But for now, we're just running around getting treasure chests. And the fact is, I made this more complicated because I wanted the treasure chests. You know, I get all the treasure chests if I remember them. I'll put the axe back on. No, put the Aegis shield on. That's what I wanted. The Aegis shield just protects against petrification. It's pretty good. But it has equal defense rating to the diamond shield, so Optimize didn't do anything because it only takes statistics into account. Doesn't take special effects, so it didn't care. Never rely on Optimize. Use it to quicken things up, but never rely on it. Because if you do, you can't use axes. But I'll show you what I mean by how easy this is. We have robots here. This is a precursor dungeon after all. I think somebody in Lufinia said they were descendants of the precursors, and I call that man a sham, and I don't believe him. The thing about the precursors is you never see them. Because they're gone by the time the game starts. Went to a different dimension. Yeah, I'm delegating Cura to him to save on MP, as if that really matters. Ugh, this encounter rate kills me. But you see, the door on the right there is the door we used to enter the middle area. The door on the left leads to the stairs that go up. So, you can enter the dungeon, go through the door on the right, then go through the door on the left, go up the stairs, and it takes you a grand total of probably 5 seconds at most. But if you want that treasure, you have to go through everything I just went through. Floor 2, unlike floor 1, you can't pull the same shenanigans on. You have to take this long, winding path all the way around the room. But once you get to the middle, you can either go towards the top, and those are the stairs up, or you can go into the room and get the treasure from within. And I recommend not skipping that treasure because there's some good items in there. You know, the Aegis shield, I suppose you can argue you can do without if you have the diamond shield and don't care about the increased protection. But there's some things in there that I feel are more necessary. As soon as I get past this encounter. And whatever else happens between here and there, because, again, this tower has an increased encounter rate. Or I think it does, anyway. Yeah, I decided to murk them all, because I figured they wouldn't petrify me. And I was right. So we're still running into those things this late in the game. Now there's a bunch of circuitry around here. You saw me look at that. I tried to analyze it and nothing happened, so I just continued on. Thor's hammer. Mjolnir, huh? And that's Mary Sue's ultimate weapon. So, she's a healer. She can also cast Holy. She's the most beautiful member of the party. She's a pretty good singer, and she's the best cook we have as well, and she can also wield Mjolnir. Don't argue with me, she's a total Mary Sue. And I could use it to cast Thundara, but no, I'm gonna equip it. That's why wouldn't I? But you get the Mithril Hammer so early in the game. I'm so used to the way that looks and sounds that it's going to take some time to get used to this new weapon. I've been using the Mithril Hammer for so long. And the Mithril Hammer, Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, its damage output is so weird. Like, you'll see what I mean. She does such sporadic damage with it. But that up ahead is the warp space, and it's guarded by a set encounter tile with blue dragons in them. But they're nothing like the dragons before them, so this guy just wants us to use the warp cube to travel beyond the sky. And all we have to do is step on that panel and away we go. Welcome to the Flying Fortress. And this place is really cool. As you can see, we were above the clouds, encountering some new enemies. Black Flan. And if you know anything about these things, you know that I totally did that wrong, because I had no idea what these were. Well, we'll adapt to this. We'll adapt. We'll pile all attackers on one, and we'll cast Holy with her. Wonder what a Holy will do to these things. As long as we keep piling on attacks, we can get them all. Unless the Holy does well. And we are winner. Yep, Holy is effective against them. So Razor, this is an interesting item. It's probably contender for one of the best items in the game, and I end up never really using it and selling it. But it casts Scourge. Now Scourge is the other level 7 spell that can be cast through an item, and it is the multi-target death spell. Yeah, and I don't really use it, and I just sell it like it ain't no thing. But the thing is, I never really think of it. Like, I just always forget that it's there, and it doesn't really come to mind ever, because I have things that take out massive groups, and it's of no consequence to me, so But there you go. You might get more use out of it. After all, it is an item that does that, so it's really good. Now there's a sword, and I paused there for a second because I did not know what that was. I've never seen this before. It's Deathbringer, a sword that casts death, which is strictly worse than Razor, and rarer to get because it's a dropped encounter, and our knight is holier than thou, so he won't use it, but that won't stop the red wizard. Yeah, I've never seen that before. This playthrough has been showing me a lot of things that I haven't seen before. You know, there's this Deathbringer sword that Black Knights apparently drop. There was the fact that Astos dropped the Mithril sword. In my practice file, I discovered that zombie dragons drop mega elixirs. So I learned that. I found out after I was done recording that about that magic shop in Lufinia, and I went back and recorded me looking at that, though I'd already beaten the game before then, so you know, I'll show it off at some point in time. I don't know when I'll splice that in, but it's just showing it. I don't have those spells when I go through the final dungeon, because I had beaten the game before I knew about that. So that's all neat. I've been learning things. It's always fun to learn new things. Especially about these old video games that you've played over and over again. Yep. The Deathbringer. It's a neat sword. It's better than the Defender is. And I always thought the Defender was a really good sword, and now I know better. It looks about as I expected, though. It was just an all-black sword. I think it uses the same sprite as the Sunblade, which is, you know, the good sword, the holy sword. This is the unholy sword, so they're like opposites. One casts death and one kills the undead. Flying Fortress level 2 is kind of this sprawling, like, spider shape. It's got 6 legs, so it's not really a spider shape, but there's items in everywhere, and the way up and down are each in the top and bottom. Manticores. They can shoot their poison darts, but I've never seen it hit before, so I don't actually know exactly what it does. I assume it poisons, but it could also do some sort of death effect. I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen it. Yeah, so by now, I was actually getting really tired of editing out encounters, so I apologize if we've seen a bunch of the same encounters that I should be editing out, but it was getting hard to track these things down. I mean, they all last like only a few seconds each. Sorry if my voice sounds like it's starting to go out. It is, apparently. I've had to stop recording and start recording again to clear my throat several times, but I don't know what's going on. Hope I'm not getting sick. That wouldn't be good. And at least I'm on my weekend. So at least I guess have time off to get over it so that I can actually go back to work. Stone golems are, you know, the upgraded clay golems. One of them can cast haste and one of them can cast slow, and I don't remember which is which, but what is this? Well, it is adamantite. The legendary metal that one dwarf was looking for all the way back in an earlier part. As I said, we'd be going back, but man, it's pretty late in the game. Wonder what he's going to make from that. We'll find out later because I'm not leaving the dungeon. So, I'll see you next time. Have a good day.